Welcome back, friends. In this video, I'm going to show you how to take old discarded bottles and turn them into shabby decor. When I'm repurposing old bottles like these, I usually put a coat of white chalk paint, and it sticks really well to glass. But I had been thinking about using gesso as a paint and a prep. So that's what I did on these bottles, and I like the texture. It's very similar to chalk paint, and I think it may have been the predecessor for chalk paint. It's been used for centuries by artists as a prep for their canvas. This one is Liquitex brand. You can find this at Hobby Lobby or on Amazon, and I have a link posted below in my description if you're interested in finding it on Amazon. I used air dry clay or paper clay to decorate these bottles, and the molds I used were a combination of ones I bought from Amazon. Some of these are IOD molds, and some of them are Prima Redesign molds. It helps a little if you put cornstarch in the molds so the clay comes out easily. And I'm just using regular wood glue to adhere these molds to the painted bottles. I did apply these to the bottles while they were still moist, since the bottles were curved, and I wanted the mold, the clay, to dry in that curved shape of the bottle. And let me just speak to the obvious. Yes, I am in my pajamas. I find that the only time I have for crafting and making videos is in the evening or on the weekends. I'm still working full time, and I hope at some point soon that will change. But yeah, I gotta be in my happy place, and sometimes that includes pajamas. Next, I put the second or third coat of paint on the bottles, and as I was editing the video, I kind of realized that on some of these bottles, I sort of wish I had just left them white. That, the white just has a kind of a soft look. So the next batch of bottles I may try a few without putting any second colors on it. For the pink bottles, I used Rust-Oleum Blush Pink, and you can find that at your local hardware store or Amazon, and I do have that listed on my Amazon store site. On a couple of these bottles, I used Rub and Buff, a highlighting or contouring wax, and I put that in the crevices around some of the molds that I put on the bottles, and then I used it sort of as a highlighter on some of the other bottles in the raised areas. I ended up repainting over some of it. It had a little bit more orange tint in the gold than I really wanted for this project. So what I ended up doing was just using some acrylic gold paint and recovering these gold areas. You'll see that later in the video. The next step for these bottles was to create some cute hanging tags, or some people call them just hang tags, but it's just a way to dress up the bottles where you cut out pieces of cardstock or other things, and it really dresses up the bottles. I had to look at all of the bottles again and decide which ones I was going to put hang tags on. I wanted to dress these up, but I didn't want to cover up the molds or the decorations that I had already put on the bottles. To make these shabby bows, I took strips of fabric. Most of this is muslin or scraps of lace, and I cut it to probably 8 to 12 inches in length, depending on the size of the neck of the bottle. And I just combined a lot of these strips of cloth that I had torn or cut. I then looped those pieces into a sort of shabby bow, and I used another piece of scrap fabric to tie that in the center and glued it to the bottle. And it makes a really cute shabby bow. You'll see a little bit later in the video a little bit better view of how those are made. The other decor I put on these bottles is either scraps of fabric or lace or trim that I've thrifted. Using scraps of fabric or remnants, you really don't have to spend much money making these bottles. This piece of trim that I'm using here is actually a piece of lace trim from an old blouse that had worn, and I just used some of it as trim for projects and saved that. When I make these shabby bows, I don't really tie the pieces of fabric in a bow. I loop them in a couple of big loops and take another piece of string or remnant and tie the center. And then I can glue that onto the bottle and just trim the ends so that it looks balanced. To give these hang tags an antique look or a worn look, I'm using ink pad and a little sponge stamp that's actually designed for scrapbooking, but I do have those supplies listed in my link to the Amazon site. But that's just a way to dress these up, and it looks antique or aged, and so it just adds a little bit more character to the bottle. I took one last look at each bottle to try and decide if I needed to add a hang tag to it or not. Watch for the pop-up at the end of this video that will be a picture and a link to another one of my videos that I think you will enjoy. So that will come near the end of this. I also want to encourage you to go into my description and click on the link to a motivational Christian video. The series is very inspirational and really not like other Christian videos you've seen, and so I think it will bring you some comfort. Please remember to give this video a thumbs up and to share it with someone else if you liked it. It will help my channel grow, and I will hopefully be able to do this full-time at some point. May God bless you all, and I will see you in the next video.